So these boxes are for Toga's like thigh pouch things. So I got these from Hobby Lobby and I took off the stickers and stuff, and then I started to unscrew like the hinges or whatever on both of them. And I struggled a bit there because I wasn't really paying attention, but yeah. And then after I unscrew them, I put this super glue like stuff, that's what it is, it's just like some fancy super glue. I put it on the edges and I rubbed it in so it's all spread out. And then I connected the boxes together and let it dry while holding them together. Basically just to make sure the two pieces were firmly together so it just looked like a box. So these are the finished boxes glued together. Then Toga has some details on her thigh boxes. So I cut out two rectangles and I made sure they were even and stuff. And she has like 6 small squares on her larger rectangles. So I started like drawing those out and making them more engraved. So each little small box was connected to the rectangle, but it looked like they were kind of separate like hers are, if that makes any sense. I dremeled the sides of the rectangle just to make it more smooth, like a more smooth transition from the box. And then I used a screwdriver to trace over where I went with the X-Acto knife just to make the space between the boxes more defined. And now that those were done, I just glued them on with regular super glue in the middle of the boxes. And yeah, I did that to both of them. And here I just sprayed on some primer before I sprayed on her hunter green that she has for her boxes. But I think primer is important, so yeah. These are some book-like boxes, the small ones that I got from Hobby Lobby, and so I took off the stickers and stuff, and then I glued the cover of the book to the rest of the book with super glue, and I just rubbed it around so it all sticks. I held the book together until it dried, and then after it dried, I kind of beat the spine with the butt of the screwdriver just to try to make it more flat. It's fine if it's not perfectly flat, I just wanted to try to make it more flat than it was. To make the shape more boxy, I cut off the hangover bits, like the edges of the book, to just make it more boxy. Since I was basing what I was doing for her props off of memory, which you should not do, I started to make details for her waist boxes like I did for her thigh boxes. And I didn't realize until I was done that she did not have those, but I decided just to keep the extra detail. to her thigh boxes after they had dried from the primer. I went over the lines that I made with the screwdriver and the X-Acto knife again, just so I can take out the paint that was in the cracks, just to keep them defined. Oh boy, so here is where I got kind of frustrated. So the teeth annoyed me a lot. So originally I was going to make them out of this kind of poster board material, which is about like a 1/2 inch thick. And then eventually I just decided to make the teeth, which I just drew out of some foam, which is probably like a 1/4 inch thick. I don't really know. But yeah. So for her back tubes where like all the blood goes into, I'm pretty sure, I used some Clorox wipe bottles and I took off the stickers and stuff, and then I didn't really mind the sticky stuff was on one side because I just glued those sides together. So I tried to get it off a bit, but I didn't really try that hard because I didn't really mind. So originally I was just gonna put this black piece, like glue it at the top just so the inside's hollow, but then my mom had the idea to put spray foam inside to make it not hollow, and I liked that better, so I ended up doing that, but this would work too. She has a block in between her two bottles, so I used that poster board and just glued it to both of the bottles to just recreate what she has in between hers. So this was the fun part. I got some paper, like 2 or 3 sheets of paper or whatever, and I just drew out what I thought her thing looked like based on some other tutorials, and then I kind of like made it more stiff by putting tape over the paper after I got it to how I liked. And I could have made it a bit bigger, which I would do if I was remaking this, but I'm pretty satisfied with the size I made it. But you just cut it out and I'll show what the basic shape looked like. So I got it pretty much to how I like it. I would have made it like a bit bigger and a bit shorter than I did, but this is pretty much the basic shape of it. After that, I spray foamed it, which I saw in another tutorial, and just to make it thicker, like hers is. And then I used a Dremel to Dremel down the glue on the middle piece and make more of an arc on the bottom of it. And yeah. And then since the spray foam was really bumpy, as you can see, like popcorn, I X-Acto knifed or whatever, I cut off the spray foam just to make it more even with my paper base, and yeah. really trying on the base of the scarf just to see what it would look like, and I was kind of vibing, so. And then when I glued on the fabric, I did not glue it on this way because it did not work well. So I had to use like super glue to glue it down instead of like good glue, like Gorilla Glue. It did not work, so I had to use like super glue. But, and I would cut the two pieces in half and make the seam would be where the needles would go, just so it would be more covered up. But yeah. So now for her needles, I used a beer can thing, and I took off the cap of it, and I glued a nail to a washer, and then I kind of just glued that washer on top of the can with super glue. I use super glue a lot in this, and I went through many packs of super glue. The little bands around the ends of the needles, I just cut rectangles out of foam, and on two of them I had semicircles on them. Because on the two on the top of the needles, she has a hangover kind of thing. But for the four of them, I just did a basic rectangle and kind of just eyed what length they needed to be and width and stuff. Oh, and I forgot to add, this is just basic, really cheap craft foam in green. So next I got these really cheap knives from USA Magics or whatever, and I took out the blade of them, and then I burnt down the end of them, and I kind of just glued them down. I glued down 5 of them because I'm using one as like her knife that she stabs people with. And for the tubing that connects it all, I kind of just estimated the length of how long I wanted it to be, and I glued the edges together with hot glue, and then I wrapped a whole bunch of string, like sewing string around it, just to make it all stick together. Then I put some super glue over that just so it all stayed. These are the teeth I was talking about, and I just painted them white and glued them on to the fabric scarf. And this is the finished product. I added some blood in the tubes, and it took a lot of effort. I don't even know how I put the blood in there. It was just some fake blood, but yeah, this is the finished product. I'm sorry I didn't really record putting it all together. I know it's really important. I just kind of got excited about finishing it. But I just added elastic around the waist and kind of velcroed it together. And it kind of just turned out how it did. I don't really know. But yeah, if you have any questions, message me on my Instagram. But yeah, it's pretty easy, just time consuming.